So, Boozy isn't just a bar.
I love people. I love entertaining. I love also eating out myself. I love, dining out. I love travel.
What was the biggest fear you had to overcome when opening a restaurant or transitioning?
Welcome to Dining Room Stories with Domar and Andrea, where we take you behind the scenes of the restaurant business world with stories and conversation that inspire.
Today, on Dining Room Stories, we have the pleasure of having a man who proves that passion, design, and courage can completely reinvent what success looks like. Welcome to Dining Room Stories, Glenn Eagles from Bouzy Bar.
Boozy Bar. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to the podcast today.
Great. Thank
Glenn.
you so much for being here. And it's such a pleasure to have like a really well-known and famous
Thank you. Thank you.
Toorak Road person. Can I say that?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Welcome, Glenn.
Thank you, Emma.
You spent years building some of Toorak's most luxurious homes and spaces. What made you trade construction sites for champagne bars?
It's an easy question answered. I travelled probably twice a year to Europe for the last 15, 20 years. Got just really interested in the whole restaurant scene. I've probably eaten at 30 of the top 50 Michelin-starred restaurants in Europe, and cannot cook, cannot mix a cocktail, cannot serve a table, but I just had a passion for food and wine, and I had a great wine collection that I wanted to put in a bar restaurant, and the old Boozy Bar that Jason from Toorak set up years ago became available. So I grabbed that and just created Bouzy Bar and Vins in High Street Armadale.
I think you have upgraded the place beautifully.
Thank you.
You have an extensive wine selection,
Yes.
and it seems there are some wines from your wine cellar too.
Yes, there is. We when the venue became available, I ended up engaging David Hicks and had a collaboration with David Hicks Interior, who I've used on my last 4 projects in Toorak. We've won a 35 housing awards, Australian Home of the Year. David's been involved in all those. So once Boozy Bar became available, I decided I might as well get David involved. And the collaboration with David has been amazing. We've created a really nice vibe in Boozy. It's very Parisian, very silky, it's smooth. It's a winter venue as much as a summer venue, which I can go into later on in the podcast. Yeah.
Is there a difference between the construction industry and the hospitality industry?
A big difference, Emma. Mainly with the staff. That's the difference. You've got subcontractors against staff. That was the biggest adjustment for me. I've never really employed staff before, so that was a learning curve for me. And I'm still learning, a year and a half down the track.
So, Boozy isn't just a bar. It is an experience.
Yes.
How did you come out with this concept?
Well, again, travelling to Europe, my favourite restaurants over there are La Avenue, Matagon, Giraffe, Hotel Kos, for instance. And I wanted to create a vibe in Boozy that was very European. And I hit the nail on the head. Second night I opened, had a couple of girls come in, very well dressed, European. They walked in and I opened up the curtains and they said, wow, I feel as though I'm in Hotel Kos in Paris. So I thought I've hit the nail on the head. So just having a nice vibe. I find the restaurants in Melbourne they focus too much on the food and the wine. They don't focus enough on that vibe, that feeling that when you leave a restaurant, you mightn't have had the best food, you mightn't have had the best wine, but it's a vibe that you come back for because you like when you walk into the restaurant and the bar, it's a nice, clubby European vibe, and that's what I wanted to create in Boozy.
Beautiful. So I'm from Milan, so I think Paris and Milan, they're really similar when it comes to fashion. Have you been to Milan?
Yes, I love Milan. I love Milan. It's favourite shopping apart from Paris. My favourite shopping city in the world.
Yeah, traveling around, sometimes I feel like that the north and west part of Italy is really a lot massive like French influence. So I love it. It's like a melting pot. I don't speak French, but
Yeah.
do you?
No, not at all. I'd love to speak French, a little bit of Italian, but that's about it. But you're getting back to Milano. I learned one of the best restaurants I went to there was, I think, Il Saltamento. I can't pronounce it properly, in the centre square. And soon as the women walked in, they're walking in with Birkin bags. They're walking in with Louis Vuitton bags worth 40, 50,000 euros. And straight away, a marble top comes out and they put the bag on a marble top. So I created that vibe at Boozy. I've got made up in Europe 24 marble top bags. So as soon as a client walks in, first thing their bag goes on. It doesn't matter whether it's a $500 bag or a 50,000 Birkin. It goes on that stand, and the people love it. Very European.
Yeah, around bags is so complex. Like, I mean, when you start talking with women, like, I would like this kind of like bags, Saint Laurent or whatever. And then it was like, oh, how much would it cost something? It's like, oh, eventually it could cost, like, in my mind, like 5,000-6,000, right? Something you can afford, right? It's like, oh yeah, but the one I would like is like $600,000. It's like, I didn't even know there was a market. So,
But there is always this argument with men and women. Women thinks bags are an investment, and men's we think wines are investments.
Wines. Well, now you're talking my wine list, as you mentioned before, Emma, that I have a pretty good wine collection, and I wanted to place it in a restaurant. And I believe I'm the only restaurant in the world with a full set of Grange from 1951 to current vintage.
Wow.
That's been certified by Peter Gago from Penfolds. He was in the other night, and he said, Glenn, you're the only restaurant I know of that has a full set of Grange. It ranges from $2,500 a bottle to my top bottle is 185,000 K.
Wow.
For the 1951. Would be nice to serve it one night, but we'll wait and see.
So are you waiting for a special guest or someone that can afford it?
Yeah, well, look, we've had a few VIPs in that come and bought the 1971 Grange one about 8 years ago. It beat all the Grand Crus and the Burgundies in the world in California and won the best red wine. And we served a bottle of that the other night to a VIP client, $10,500 for one bottle of wine, and it was drinking beautifully.
Nice.
Luckily, I had 2 bottles of it, so I've got one spare.
Glenn, you've been also a customer of my restaurants for many years. That's where we met.
That's where we met.
And beautiful customers, I would say.
Thank you.
Living a successful building career or putting it on hold is a huge risk.
Yes.
What was the biggest fear you had to overcome when opening a restaurant or transitioning?
The biggest fear for me, Emma, was that it would work. That I knew it would work. I knew that I could create the feeling, I could create the atmosphere. But until the client comes in and sits down and leaves, you don't know whether that worked or not. So Instagram, social media, we're now on Meta and Facebook, and that's been a huge success for us. So just reaching out with the socials, the good thing we learned was I employed straight away Val from Votre Group, which did an amazing job for my, and still doing my socials. So we're reaching out to, if you look at my socials on my Instagram, I'm not really a restaurant. It's more of a club, a bar, where people can bring their cars, park out the front, be seen. So it's more of a club more than a restaurant. And that's been the biggest fear for me. And that worked, I found out, within the first sort of 1 to 2 months when we started hitting our market.
To me, what you have created, considering your experience in building homes, for me, Boozy, it's a home for connections.
Yes, it is. It's totally polar opposite to the building industry. But a lot of my clients, I'm in the centre of Armadale, in High Street Armadale, one of the best retail strips in Australia at the moment. And all my clientele, even though they're local, coming from Armadale, Toorak and Melbourne, we're getting a lot of groups of particular women from Brighton. We're getting Ubers coming from Carnegie and Tarneet with girls. Just coming out for a night out, and they're dressing up and they're coming to Boozy to experience our DJs we have on every night. We have singers in on a Friday night. We have Dan, our resident artist. He'll come in and do sketches for us randomly in the corner. As the clients leave, we give them a little sketch of themselves sitting there for the whole night, and that hits the spot.
having people traveling to a restaurant, especially far after COVID, is not for granted.
No, it's not. And look, we're not in the city. We'd love to be in the city. We'd love to be in, the good spots of South Yarra, but we're not. We're in Armadale. We're suburban, but we're finding people are actually getting out of the city and coming to Boozy, which is good for us.
I have a little bit of experience with restaurants in suburbs. I think if you are successful, which you are, it becomes a plus not being in the city or being in an off street.
Yes, it is. But sometimes you go past the restaurants on a Monday, Tuesday night in the city and they're busy, and suburbia is quiet. But, they're the pluses and the minuses we have to put up with.
Yeah, but busy, often with social media, you see these restaurants that have millions of views online, and then you go, they're not busy.
Yes.
So it's all about perceptions.
Yes, agree.
As a restaurateur, I'm sure you get the feeling if you're doing something right or not. Even if sometimes customers tells you that you are not doing something correct.
Yes.
But your feeling is more important than...
I agree. And, one of the things we have in there is we never turn the music down. It is loud. It's vibey. And you'll get 1 out of 20, 1 out of 25 customers that say, can you turn the music down? And I say, the only thing we can do is turn the music up. The volume is the volume.
And it's a choice.
And it's what I've learned in this industry, Amar, is you can't get every kick on the field.
And eventually you'll attract your customers and the people that don't like the place, they will deselect themselves. What has been the biggest surprise since opening Boozy?
Oh, the biggest surprise.
Good or bad?
It's probably the clientele. I never expected the clientele to be so particular, hitting the spot where I thought, I just didn't think I'd hit that spot with my clientele. And it's actually surprised me, the type of clientele we're getting and where I'm getting them from, which I said earlier.
You've also set the standards very high.
Yes.
I mean, you say you're not a restaurateur. You are, because you own a restaurant.
I am. Look, a lot of things we have in Boozy, I'm the only one with these particular glassware we use. I bring it in from the Czech Republic. I went to a fair 2 years ago in Paris and found it, so I import it. I'm the only, as I said, the only restaurant with it, and we also sell it. Our whole motto of Boozy is each shop belong. So we've got a shop section as well, and we don't sell it online. It's a good plus for us, for the clients to come in. They know they can only buy from us in the actual restaurant, and we're selling a lot of that at the moment. We're bringing a lot of plateware, artwork in from India as well, and we're selling that as well. So that's another side section of Boozy that is unique.
You're also a very experienced diner.
Yes.
You've eaten all over the world.
Yes.
Do you think is there a difference between owning a restaurant and being a customer of a restaurant, even with a lot of experience?
Yes, it is. And look, I haven't eaten a lot in Boozy by myself with a friend or guests or tables, and I've done it a few times. And when you sit down and you look at the restaurant working as a customer, it's totally different to when you're sitting on the floor or I'm hosting. I try and host most nights if I can, and you miss the little parts that are not that extra 1%. But as I said earlier, you can't get every kick on the field. There might be the odd glass that's sitting there empty, or the old plate that hasn't been picked up. And as a diner, that's when you notice it. But as owning a restaurant or running the floor, you don't see that.
You came to the industry with fresh eyes.
Yes.
What have you learned that seasoned operators sometimes forget?
Well, the thing I've learned, is that when my manager and chef came on board in the initial 2 or 3 weeks, it only took me till then. I said, why are all our menus going out with my images that I've created, what I spent a lot of money on, facing away from the client? And they said, well, that's what we do. I said, what do you mean that's what we do? And they said, well, we always open the menus up or give them where the menus is. And I said, but hang on, I've created all these images, so let's turn it around. And they said, well, we don't do that. And I said, well, that's what we're going to do. Same as with my wine list. I spent a lot of money on the covers of my wine lists, and they were opening up on the first page. And I said, what are we doing that for? And they said, well, that's what we do. So I've had a lot of convincing my staff and managers to actually listen to me as a customer, and this is what I've experienced, to not do what the industry is meant to do. That's been my biggest learning curve, getting my staff out of their comfort zone of what they're used to and doing it as what I want. And that's what I've learned.
Hi guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode. Remember to subscribe to our channel to get updates and keep enjoying the rest of the episode. That's a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning before that people, your customers can park the car in front of the Boozy and they want to be seen. And also you have beautiful people, girls, and they come to your venue. How do you think is this social media experience? Are your customers looking for?
Some are private. Some actually like the exposure. So we have to just find out who is at what level. We run a section on our website, which is the cars. Whenever there's really nice cars out the front, we photograph them. Would I love to be like LA and Europe where I have valet parking? Be beautiful. But, you know, our regulations here just doesn't allow us to do that, you know, because damage to the cars, where in Europe, they just accept it.
Yeah.
You know, if a rim gets scratched or whatever, you know, but I'd love to be able to do valet parking. It would be the next level. But we just, again, in Australia, we can't do that.
And yeah, of course, like rules and, you know, council sometimes be complex. But talking about cars, so are you more passionate about wines or cars?
Oh, both really. One of my hobbies is collecting Grange, which I'm now onto my second set. I'm about 5 bottles away from having a second set, which is a hobby. I also I restore cars, so I employ a guy in Mordialloc. So he just works on my cars 24/7, and I've got a couple of 55 and a 57 Pre-A Porsche 356 that I've fully restored. I just a 280 SL Pagoda Mercedes, a 1970, which we just finished. So that's another hobby of mine. It's a little bit of, it's a good investment, but it's also gets me up every morning and gets me thinking about other things other than building or the restaurant industry.
Yeah, that's great. I think a lot of people that they're not into car collections, they don't understand that it's also an investment, not just having like more cars in the garage. And so I can see like style, design, and cure of details. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So you got all these elements in the Boozy and in your life, design. What was the path? What is the connections in your life?
Oh, it's just style and fashion. I love fashion. You know, whenever I go overseas, it's wherever I go. As we talked earlier about Milano and Paris. I love shopping. I love seeing the fashion. Europe is, I love Australia, but Europe is just always 2 or 3 years ahead of Australia with a lot of things, fashion, design. So I bring a lot of that back to Australia, and a lot of that's in Boozy as well. You know, with plates, as I said earlier, glassware. My wine list. You know, we have a lot of Sassicaia, we have a lot of Tigs. I have a lot of back vintages. You know, like the other one I love is Vas Felix, Haysbury Estate. I'm a big fan of their winery in Margaret River, and we've got vintages going back to 1991 with those on our wine list.
Yeah, I think when I came to Australia at the beginning, I'm coming from Milan. I was living in Sydney 1 year, and I came to Melbourne. I see everyone just dressing a specific way. I mean, northern suburbs, like up at the river or down at the river, the different like styles.
Yes.
But Melbourne is actually like a fashion city.
Yes.
That's what I discover over the years. It's not just wearing gym pants at the supermarket. There's also like a style that is really particular.
Yes.
Do you like?
Yeah. Look, I find
fashion?
probably a lot of people when they go to Europe, you buy clothes and fashion over there, and you come back and you think, oh, can I wear this in Melbourne or not? You know. Right. You know, particularly winter. Melbourne's very black, very dark in winter, and Europe in winter it's lively. It's colours. It's colours 24/7 in Europe. That's the hardest thing I find when you bring fashion from overseas back to Australia. it's hard to just know what level you're at.
Also, I think the collections are pretty different. I was like, sorry, I don't remember if it's Collins Street where are all the brands.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, all the connection, like even Prada and the other ones, like that's so different. They're like, now it's like more slim fit in Europe in the past few years, and then colors and all these kind of like triangular like shapes. And sorry, I'm not a fashion designer, so but I just I like it. But it's so curious that the dress they sell here, they're completely different, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think they just follow the trend?
As I said earlier, I think they follow Europe a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
But it
takes a while to get back into Australia, and our seasons are different as well.
Do you think it's like distribution, basically?
Sorry?
It's distribution.
Yeah.
Or it's like, because in my mind, it was like, it's eventually because people want to dress differently here. I'm not sure.
I think Australians are more staid than Europe. It's my, they're a little bit more, they're more staid than Europe. But still, the fashion here in Australia is great. You look at High Street Armadale, we've got some of the best brands. Nadia Bartel's just opened Henny there. It's only 3 doors up from Boozy. We've got a lot of good brands in High Street Armadale. I've also heard the new development up the other end of High Street. It's the first time ever that designer labels are going to be out of a shopping centre or the CBD, and I believe it's either Louis, Burberry, or one of the fashion brands are all going into High Street Armadale soon.
Right now, High Street and Toorak Road South Tiara are the best streets in Melbourne, with the lowest vacancy rates.
Yes.
So what's the story behind the name Boozy?
Well, it was always set up originally, as I said earlier, from Jason Jones from Entrecôte days, and he set it up, and then COVID hit, which hit everyone in the restaurant industry pretty bad, and Jason was then setting up Entrecôte in Greville Street. So he basically, the name was still there, and I bought it from a couple of guys that took it over from Jason and changed the name, but luckily enough, they still had the rights to the name. So I kept the name Boozy. I just like Bouzy Bar and Vince.
It's a beautiful name.
Yeah, it's
it
a beautiful
suits
name.
your style completely.
It's a warm name. Yeah.
What do you think of today's economy?
Oh, don't get me started on that. It's tough, particularly in Victoria. Business. It's as you've got restaurants. I don't have to tell you. Staff costs, overheads, rent, taxes. It's tough. Tough to make a dollar. Any business at the moment.
Have you noticed that diners have changed the way they dine?
I'm probably not experienced enough to know that, being this is my first rodeo. I haven't been in the industry before. So, the diners, I don't think they've changed. Is their spend per head probably a little bit less? You'd probably know that better than me, being in the industry a lot longer.
I've noticed that a lot of people, they drink less at the moment.
Yes.
Maybe it's a trend with social media, but a lot of the younger guys, they don't drink as much. And it's a common trend all over the world with the Gen Z.
And look, people are cutting back on alcohol, aren't they? It's a known fact. They're cutting back.
You've always built with precision, but now you're building emotion in Boozy.
Yes.
How do you define success today compared to 20 years ago?
Wow. 20 years ago is a long time. Success, I think now for me is more about being fulfilled rather than monetary value. 20 years ago, it was more about making a dollar, getting ahead in life. As we all become older, I think it's more pleasurable for you and building that success and waking up in the morning knowing that you're happy, rather than 20 years ago you were waking up thinking, have I made a dollar?
There's also, the world has changed, the way we think about life. Before was a lot of Wall Street, let's go, let's make some money. Now it's more about the person and the life.
Yes.
And the happiness in a person's life. That's what I see.
Yes, I agree.
That's where there's a kind of a change in the Gen Z. Like they understand after COVID, especially, that like it's not just about work, it's also about quality, and they start understanding that from the early stages. Well, like our education, I mean, I'm born in the 80s. It's been like work, 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 work. And like the song, right?
Mm.
I think things are slightly changing, and it's not probably that bad that people are drinking a little bit less. I know it's for restaurant, a little bit less profit, but also we can consider this as a positive
Yes.
change. Yeah. Also, Australia has a beautiful culture around drinking, but sometimes there's also drinking culture that can be toxic.
Glenn, you definitely have an extensive experience in business and life. And for me, business, the fundamentals are always the same. People, place, product. And once you have these three, you can adapt to any industry. Do you have any advice for us?
Giving you advice, you're the professional restaurateur, mate. You've got a chain of restaurants.
You
I've
are a
got
very
one.
professional diner. So
No, I love eating at your restaurants. You know, the pasta you have at Cucinetta is amazing.
Thank you so much.
It's my go-to.
I know you love the lobster
I love the lobster,
pasta.
the lobster linguine. It's my go-to meal every time. So, yeah, I mean, I should be asking you that question. Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah,
And it's so hard to cook a good linguine in spaghetti, yeah?
yeah.
Because people think it's simple dish, but it's not.
It's not. No.
It's very hard to run restaurants.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you choose that, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
I do the marketing.
We
So.
were discussing
More
before,
flexible.
Restaurants give you that dopamine that no other business gives you. Because you always need to be sharp, on point, dress up.
Yeah.
Because you are facing a lot of people.
Yeah. Everyone said to me when I opened, what's it like, running Boozy? And I explained it the best was every day I get dressed and I feel as though I'm going to my birthday. So every day is my birthday. And I dress up, walk into the restaurant, walk into Boozy, and I feel I'm welcoming everyone into my home. And that's what hospitality is about. You never really think about making the dollar. If it comes later, that's great. But the one thing I've learned with hospitality is that it's, as you said, about the feeling and the drug it gives you that makes you keep chasing the dream and making people happy. And I can understand how you, being 20 or 30 years in the industry, still wake up every day and you want to make the customer happy. And you want them to walk out of your restaurant or your bar knowing they're happy and they've been fulfilled. And when they do, you don't look at the dollar at that stage. You look at the person leaving, as I said, your birthday party and knowing they had a good time. That's the way I feel.
I think money is a consequence of the value that you deliver in the marketplace.
Yes.
Either is construction or hospitality, restaurants. And the more you give genuinely and authentically give to the customers, everything will come back and they will appreciate this.
Yeah, in general, I would say passion is one of the most important elements of running a business.
You can't fake passion or authenticity.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you can. If you, no, you can until a certain level, in my opinion. But then it's like consistency,
But
right?
people know it when you are faking it.
Yeah.
True.
I think so, yeah. But then it's like also consistency. And so if you keep working every day and you do the right thing, things will go back to you.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, one of the things I did learn from overseas was that once we have a lot of VIPs come in, regulars, and once they've ordered more than 10 steaks, we have a beautiful Japanese steak knife that we have. We get it engraved with their name. It goes into a locker. So when they come in on the 11th or 12th time, their knife is presented to them at the table with their engraved name on it. And
that's a beautiful touch.
A big touch.
nice.
And that's in the system. And all the staff know that when a VIP comes in, their knife goes out on the table. And if they're sitting there with a group of 4 or 6 people, how come you get a special knife? Well, Boozy looked after me.
That's a beautiful touch.
It's a nice touch.
And how do you deal with jealousy from the other people at
Well,
the table?
they've got to then order 10 steaks and then they get their own knife.
That's great.
Yeah.
Such a good way
Yeah.
of
Yeah, it's just
taking care.
it's taking care of the VIPs and making them feel special.
Yeah, and because the hospitality world, it's all about like connection and making people feel special.
So I learned years ago from one of the guys, trying to give his name, he used to own Giorgio's, and he set up the Toorak bar opposite Francois there. And was the Toorak Deli, I think it was called. And I said, it was George Sardi, and I said to George, geez, you're renovating again. He said, yeah. He said, every 2 years we renovate the restaurant. And I said, well, what do you do that for? And he said, well, all the regulars become bored after 2 years. So he said, every 2 years we just renovate. We do a slight renovation and it makes them come back again. So I learned from that as well. You can't just sit there and be stayed. So, we're not open 2 years, but maybe I'll revisit that at the 2-year mark.
So Glenn, on one side is like a balance between, innovation, as you say, style, but also I think regulars might also like a little bit of consistency and feeling home. How do you balance?
I've only been open a year and a half, so probably in anher 6 months,
You're
I'll let you know
6 months.
if we upset some of our regulars by changing the restaurant too much.
So cool. And so let's say I'm a customer. It is the first time I'm coming to Boozy. What should I expect?
Well, what should you expect for the first time at Boozy? If you've got a partner and she's got a nice handbag, as I said, the handbag will sit on a beautiful marble table. We will sit you down. We'll look after you. We'll ask you, is it your first time at Boozy, or if it's not, we say welcome back. And we try to remember if it's your second or third time, what you ordered the first time, what your regular drink is. We try and put that in the notes as much as we can. But the experience that you'll get at Boozy will be a DJ on most nights, as I said, from 7:30 till 9:30 or 10. You'll get looked after by some of the best staff. Our chef he's been on with us now for about a month, a new chef, Pierre Codreau. He's got 18 hats in Victoria over his lifetime, and he's also got one Michelin star at Café Brunet in Paris. So he's come on board. So he's a Parisian and half French, half Algerian chef. So he's got a lot of flair. He's creating a lot of different tastes and flavours, which our clientele are just raving about at the moment.
Great. So it's like the feeling is going to be, I'll get in, I will feel welcome. And then eventually if I come a few more times, I can get my own knife, right?
Knife, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. If you order steak.
Yeah, I like steak.
But our other favourite dish is our Moreton Bay bug linguine, which is our number one seller, a little bit like your lobster linguine.
We can say you are more of a French cuisine or a European cuisine?
Yeah, more. It's the original Boozy was French, so we've kept the same theme, but we've probably got more. I'm very au fait with Italian wine, so I've probably got more Italians on my wine list. Our previous chef was Greek, so a Greek chef in a Parisian restaurant, does it work? It did work. So we're probably more European.
I love it. But so the name Boozy is not connected to booze, the Australian. It's just
No,
similar name is completely.
I've never really looked into it. I just think the Boozy name is just, it's fun, it's life, it's, just having a good feel.
Yeah, great. And so all this like culture and design is like one of the core, I would say, elements of one of the things that I like more about Melbourne. And it changed a lot after COVID, I would say. So a lot of people moved out from the CBD, right? So as a regular in South Yarra, I would assume you were just, being around the center and the central areas, but now you're just moving a little bit out. And so is there like, how did you see the evolution of Melbourne in the past few years?
I think the city's changed a lot. I talk to a lot of the restaurateurs that I know in the city, and they're finding it hard on weekends now with all the protests going on. When you got the police coming out and saying, don't go into Melbourne on a weekend, they're suffering a lot on the weekends. So I think a lot more people are coming out to the suburbs. Our clientele through the football season is a lot of people just coming home from the football on a Saturday afternoon or a late Friday night after a game. You can see them walk into the restaurant with scarves on. We're right near the Armadale railway station, so it's handy for the train stations, the trams. So we're getting a lot more local clientele, just walk-ins at the moment.
Right. So culture and connection, right? How would you see yourself like in the next few years? You gonna still be like a restaurateur? You're gonna go back to?
I don't know. Let me have some weeks off. We shut down for 3 weeks at Christmas, so let me have 3 weeks off at Christmas, and I'll maybe on the next podcast, I'll answer that question for you.
Oh, great. Next year. Next year. Yeah. Oh, I can't say, like, I would love to do an edition in Sydney, but we'll see. We'll see if things evolve. Yeah. So if you could speak to your younger self, Glenn, what would you say? What kind of advices would you?
To my younger self, I'd probably say don't open a restaurant. Stick to building.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure, but look, both industries have been good for me at the moment. Hospitality the last 2 years, as I said earlier, it's more of a passion and a desire at the moment. It's not about making a dollar. Okay, sure, if we can turn over a profit is great, but it's more pleasing for me. As I said, I wake up every morning. I like the restaurant industry. I like the hospitality. I've only been in it a year and a half, but you know, as I said, next year it might be a different story. But at the moment, I'm enjoying it.
You seem pretty happy.
Yeah,
alive. So
yeah. I'm a very very vibrant person. I love life. I love people. I love entertaining. I love also eating out myself. I love dining out. I love travel. Nothing better than getting into an airport and getting on a plane and going somewhere in the world. It's a beautiful part of life.
I've known you over the years, and after opening Boozy, you seem more alive.
Yeah, I think
if I had to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's different industry, totally different to the building industry. You know, you're dealing with subcontractors, tradesmen for a year and a half to get the project up, and then you deal with the client when you've sold it. Totally opposite the restaurant industry. You got the client coming in straight away.
And it's every day.
Every day.
Finally.
Yes.
What emotion do you want people to take with them when they walk out of Boozy?
The best thing I can have a client or a customer say when they walk out of Boozy is that we had a great time and we'll be back.
And for sure they will.
3 words, we'll be back, is all I want to hear.
We haven't been yet, but please book us in.
I will do.
Guys, visit this beautiful gentleman, Glen Eagles, Bouzy Bar, Armadale. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Iman. Thank you, Andreas.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yeah, for coming here. It's been really
you.
inspiring. And as Omar and I, we say all the time, we're building connection in the hospitality industry. We're meeting beautiful people, and we love telling those stories.
Thank you. Thank you, Iman.
Grazie.
Thank you, Andreas.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the episode. I'm gonna see you in the next one.
Welcome to Dining Room Stories with Domar and Andrea, where we take you behind the scenes of the restaurant business world with stories and conversation that inspire.